What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we'll be hitting on a different kind of video. Usually I always just make a lot of entertainment content. Never really speak on things in not too in depth, but sometimes off and on. But it's more for just entertainment. But today we actually gonna dive deep into you know something that we're dealing with in society right now, which is the masculine and the feminine. Masculine energy, feminine energy, men and women, and how masculine and feminine energy works together. And when they come together, how good it actually is. And how good it is not just for the men and the women, but for society in general. Shout out to 19 Keys. I've seen a couple videos of him on, I think, on Instagram. Shout out to that brother and YouTube. Finally came across his page like 2 days ago. Um, let me stop talking. Let's hear what the brother have to say, and I will give my two piece. I will add on to what he say. Let's get into it.
Peace, family. I'm 19 Keys. Welcome to The Brief. Today's young men are too feminine in their thinking. Most of the time when a young man comes to me and I listen to their problems and I listen to the way that they process their problems, I find something striking about it, something honestly unfortunate. And that is that they think and process very feminine in their thinking. Now, when I say feminine, I want you to think about what is feminine versus what is masculine thinking. When I say feminine, I'm not specifically speaking on a woman, but the characteristics and traits of a woman and
Absolutely.
the features of her nature, which make her a woman, right? In the way that she is built, she has a feminine thinking, and that is when she is the healthiest. When a man is thinking in a masculine,
But let me just cut off. Just interrupt it for a little bit. And when he say feminine, it's all on the just like you said, the characteristics that the men have. He have very feminine like characteristics, but he will break down very fast. He deal with things on a emotional level. He's not logical when he's speaking. He's speaking of how he feels, not what actually is. But if you have a problem, he's not gonna think, well, okay, well, I have to do this, I have to do that. He's gonna look at it as, oh my God, that's a problem. And whoa, but it's just a problem, and I just can't do nothing instead of thinking logically about it and saying, well, okay, well, I have a problem. Let me sit down and think and break it down bit by bit to see what is actually my problem. A lot of people cannot do that, especially the young men now. That's why we have all this whole thing going around saying that what's a crash outs. That's why we have so much thing because the majority of young men are so emotional. They deal with things on such an emotional level. They don't think logically because they haven't been raised on they haven't been raised on a or they haven't been raised by a masculine presence, right? A lot of them don't have dads in their life. They have no male role model that's actually teaching them something with some sort of substance so they can learn something. And that's why we have so much trouble in society. Let's continue.
way, that is when he is at his healthiest and his highest. So what do I mean by feminine thinking? Well, number one, the way that a lot of men are processing a lot of their problems is through their emotions, right? So they're thinking about it in this myriad of emotions. And what this does is it creates these different bubbles to where you're thinking about all of these possibilities of things that can go wrong. All of these variations of outcomes that can happen. And you usually start thinking about it in a negative manner.
Right.
Now, the masculine will think about things from a reward-based thought process. And he's going to decrease the options because he's going to think about his willfulness to make the outcome in which
Yes.
he want to happen.
Right.
Not constantly ponder, right, through your emotions of what could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
These type of insecurities, right, are not a masculine thing. Perfectionism itself, right, And perfectionism usually comes through insecurities, and more women think about
Yeah.
getting things perfect, having the
Perfect.
perfect
Yeah.
answer, having the perfect thought, having finding the perfect color, right? The emotions make you think about more
Think about
options. What
action.
if this go
Absolutely.
wrong? What if that go wrong? What if we do this? And you get caught up in this worry and this anxiety and stuck in these variations of thought and outcomes instead of focus. See, the God thinking is
Do you see the difference? No, no. People watching this video truly see the difference between what the brother 19 Keys trying to show you. Are we just display literally the feminine and the masculine, one and two, night and day? It's very different. You see, at first when he was just going just up and down, just talking, that's him being emotional. Because he wanted to sit down and he's processing what am I going through? Let me think of my problems. Let me think of what's happening to me right now. He sit back and he just went silent. You don't always have to speak things out. Sometimes you have to sit down and actually think. That's how you build yourself. You build yourself up. You don't that's how you become, sorry, that's how you become mentally strong. Because then you sit down, you think on things, and then you can dissect things instead of talking. And then you just constantly in the place of just talking and just saying things instead of sitting down and actually taking it in and saying, okay, well, let me think on this problem. Let me see what the problem is so I can actually solve it. So that's why I'm telling you, like, that's why society is so lopsided and nothing is in place. And that's why the men so feminine, the women so masculine, right? Because we have changed the thinking of men and women. So therefore, when when we change the thinking of men and women, that's why we get so much just a whole bunch of tangling and a whole bunch of fighting and a whole bunch of hatred, a whole bunch of jealousy. That's why we get so much of these things. But if we raise men to be men and women to be women, I guarantee you, we wouldn't have crash outs in the society. We wouldn't have so much masculine women. We wouldn't have school shooters. We wouldn't have men just hurting people for no reason. We wouldn't have women getting out of line, in the hands of men. We wouldn't have these things. Life would have been a better, a better way to live if we have this simple understanding of what the men need to do, what the women need to do. We wouldn't be going through a lot of these things in society. We just wouldn't, right? And that's the problem. That is the bottom line of all the things that is taking place in society. Because the man and the woman is out of order. Both genders are out of order. I'm not blaming nobody. I have nobody to blame, right? I'm not picking a side or saying, well, I prefer that side and that side. We both have work to do. We both have work to do. Both sides have a lot of work to do, right? And that's the only way we will be able to move forward as a society and be able to grow as a society. That's that is the only way. I cannot unsee it.
be and it is. Abracadabra. As I speak, I create. The God thinking is one who has that ability to produce their will outward into reality. When you are a righteous person, whether you're religious or non religious, most religions are going to tell you about following God's will. Now, God's will is a blueprint to live,
Right.
right? God's will is not always easy to follow. God's will may make you do something that you don't want to do, but for the sake of good. So it may be a challenge. And the reason that you're given that masculine energy, the reason you have testosterone is so you can pursue challenge
Absolutely.
with pleasure, right? So even though it may be challenging, it's going to make you feel good.
Good.
Matter of fact, it's going to make you feel like a
Thank you.
man. Now,
Absolutely.
I
And
talked about
and sorry for pausing the video so much because we just 3 minutes in. I was just having this conversation with a guy who was actually older than me, and he was. Well, I told him, listen, if I had the choice, if I had to work every day, all day, and my woman stayed home, right? If she wanted to stay home and take care of my son, my daughter, and she would cook for me, clean for me, and be a good woman. But in order for that to happen, I would have to work all day. I tell him, listen, I would gladly take that. I would gladly take that. And he said, well, you had to pay all the bills. I said, well, I would gladly take that. I will do that all day, every day. That wouldn't be a problem for me. Because if I have to work hard for my son and my daughter to be raised, for my wife to stay home, and for her to raise my kids the way I want to raise my kids, I will do that all day, every day. And if that take well for me to, work longer hours at work, I will gladly do that. I would not be mad because, listen, just like you said, in that challenge, it gives you purpose. It gives you some sort of happiness. It makes me feel good that I know. Tell you what, I don't have my wife don't have to worry, but she have to waking up be waking up early every day. She'd have to stress about work and then coming home and she's tired and she's overwhelmed and she's full of emotion. She want to break down. She's depressed. If I have to take that burden off her and she have to stay home and that burden is on me, I will gladly do it. Because then that is one less thing I have to worry about. At least her mind is at rest. It's at peace, and I can gladly do that. I will gladly take that any day, every day. Right? And some people might disagree and say, well, I wouldn't do that. That's unfair. Well, brother, and tell you what, it all depends on the culture you're from. Because where I'm from, the men take care of the women. That's what I know, right? I'm accustomed to that. So if if the men have to work to take care of the woman, that's not a problem for me. Because I never seen a woman work and take care of a man. I never seen it. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. Or tell you what, it probably did happen as I haven't seen it yet. But again, as the man, it is in your duty to take care of the woman. That's just how it is. I cannot change that. I wouldn't want to change that because I feel like it it is at its best when the man is doing what he has to do and the woman doing what she has to do. You can never fail. You can never go wrong. Never.
About this in the psychology of the boy man, right? Or the forever child mind. And that forever child mind lacks the ability to deal with the world because they're usually protected from the world instead of focusing on how to protect themselves in the world. And so a lot of the thinking of the young man is deep and steeped into these insecurities. And it falls under this umbrella of these variations of emotions instead of being able to focus
Right.
and limit your options to one or two thinking, right? Because a man sees and it is. He is like a bull to his target.
Right.
This is why when men get ready and women get ready, there should be differences. A woman is going to take longer. She has more choices. Of course, she has more vanity, more things that she has to do to get
Yes, do.
ready.
Absolutely.
Well, a man should automatically know what he wants to do and he should focus on getting that done. That is the purity of masculine thinking
Absolutely.
because the man should be aligned with more of God's thinking. He needs to be direct to things because that is the logic. The logic is getting straight to the point.
Point. Absolutely.
That is the point of the logic, is to come to a point of ending in truth. So the logical man will think beyond all of the emotions, rise above emotions, right, into the thinking of God. And so in today's young men, they don't know how to do that. So caught up in the potential of reality
Right.
versus on focusing on the positive rewards that they're going to get. See, a man thinks about the positives, not all of the negatives. That is when you're filtering in your feelings. But when you're operating and processing from logic, you are now focused and idealizing all of the good that's going to happen. You're visualizing it. That is where you are living because it sparks the excitement that produces the will to manifest the outcome. But in a lot of today's young men, they're feminine in their thinking. And where this feminine thinking works very well for women, because when a woman has this feminine thinking, then she gets with a man that has the masculine thinking and they balance each other
Thank
out.
you. And that's exactly what I was saying. The masculine and the feminine need each other because when they come together, they become such a powerful force. So when they have great understanding for each other, it's unbreakable. You cannot detach them because they have such a overstanding of each other. It's like something you never seen before. And I've seen it, with some older couples, right? I just been around some families, some just good friends, and the way man and wife treats him, it's like gold. Because you never seen something like that before. You're not accustomed to it. Because now you're in a generation where you don't have this kind of thing. And I would see guys go back and forth with their woman, and I'm like, why would you even do that, right? And I would say, why would you go back and forth with your woman? When I see older couples, right? Let's say let's say they do get into an argument. I would never see the man raise his voice. He would just say what he have to say, and he let it go. He will not entertain and give into the emotional thinking of the woman. He just wouldn't do that because he know, well, that wouldn't serve me well. And even though he did something, I just wouldn't want to give into something like that, right? And you can learn just a lot of things from that, from like these older couples who actually have a good, healthy relationship. They sort of realize there are a lot of things that people doing now, it just wouldn't happen over there in that relationship. It just wouldn't, because the man understand his role. And his role is not to argue with the woman. Don't hate me. The truth.
When she wants to lean on you for leadership, she said, "What do you want to eat?" And when you say you don't know, then she can no longer trust your masculine thinking,
Absolutely.
right? Because her mind goes with a flurry of options. That's what the emotions do. That's how it works out in the brain. But your mind says, you know what? I'm going to lead. We're going to eat Chinese food. That is what we're eating. Now, she says she doesn't want to. You're still getting to a process of narrowing down things to
Yeah.
what? A
Right.
point. That is the logic system. It is to rationalize, okay, we are hungry. We have to choose a category. This is the category that I choose. It's a mathematical process of thinking. I'm going to choose Chinese food or Mexican food. Hey, babe, I have two choices in mind, Chinese or Mexican. Which one do you want? Now, instead of saying that I don't know, what you want to eat, and she has 1,000 ideas in her head, you've
Never
narrowed it
do
down
that.
to two, right? Knowing that that is logical, that she's only have these two choices to choose from. So she says Mexican. I said, good. I think we should have some burritos tonight. Okay, well, which place do we want to choose from? So then your mind is going to automatically process, okay, well, which one are our favorite ones? I like the one from last time and the one we thought about choosing the other day. You are the one that is leading to get to a point, right? So the faster we can get to a point, the faster we can move on and move forward. So a man is forward in his thinking. He's thinking about the positive outcomes, not over thinking about the negatives
Right.
and the associations to the negative.
Right. Absolutely.
Not stuck in the potential of things that could go wrong, but thinking and visualizing the things that could go right. That's the masculine,
Absolutely.
because he is focused on the outcome that he is going to produce with his willfulness, his willpower. That's his real power.
Every month, this Airbnb pays me in semi-passive income. Now, here's the thing. I don't own it.
And one thing I want to say before we move forward, is that the masculine energy is just imagine. I'm gonna give you an example. Masculine energy. That's it right there. It's like a pole. That's it. There's no movement, no sway, nothing. Just right here. It is straightforward, straight line, like an arrow. Right? That's the masculine energy. Now the feminine energy. That is the feminine energy. Because you gotta understand emotions. What is emotion? Emotion is a movement. Emotion is a constant movement. It doesn't stop. Versus logic. Logic is right here. And that's what it will always be. Straightforward. Just as you see it. Right? Just as you see it. That's what logic is. That's what the masculine is. The feminine is all over the place. Emotions is all over the place. It's constantly moving. So it might be up one time, then down. Then might be right, might be left. You don't know. So that's why I'm telling you, we have to understand our role as men and women. We have to know what our strengths and what our weaknesses. And then we come together and we have understanding of each other and seeing, okay, well, that is your strength, right? Okay, boom, I will let you deal with your strengths. And that is my strengths. I'm gonna deal with my strengths. I'm not saying you don't work on your weaknesses at all. Yes, so we need to work on our weaknesses. But as we know our strengths already. So we gotta stick to it and perform in that. And that's how we gonna get society back on track. That's exactly how. Let's continue.
So think about the way you think. Think about the way your woman thinks. Think about the way your father thinks, the way your mother thinks. And unfortunately, somehow this younger generation has gotten infested
Yes.
where the males think like the females and the females think like the males. And there's an improper balance that is going on.
Right.
And so when you want to get back to that masculine thinking, then you have to start taking leadership and you have to steep yourself into logic and critical thinking. And a
Absolutely.
man is a thinker, right? Because what happens is that over questioning yourself means that you don't have the tools to recognize valid information that is coming to your mind because you're questioning yourself, getting caught up in an insecurity. And that questioning is the feminine aspect.
Right.
See, creative sometimes cannot decide because the creative is when you're in your feminine. It is this flow of energy,
Yes.
right? But the masculine is like rock. It is solid. It is materialized, right? It brings it to a point because it is the manifestation of will. It is the manifestation of energy. You can think of feminine energy like the ocean and masculine energy
Constant
like a
movement.
mountain,
It's a
right?
constant movement.
Feminine energy is very powerful. It is very different than climbing a mountain than it is swimming in an
In the
ocean.
ocean.
That current of energy that is always in flux, you go with the flow of that energy like a surfer. You cannot go against it. So when you know you have an emotion, you have to flow to understand that emotion, right? Because you cannot conquer the ocean. You can only conquer yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So your goal is to not conquer the emotions. It is conquering yourself to understand why am I feeling this way?
Thank you.
And when you have
You see, and that's why, I made a video previously. That's why you always have to question, okay, why am I in this situation? Why do I feel this way? Just like you said. And I've been speaking about these videos way back. Why do I feel this way? How can I change it? Why am I in this situation? How can I get out of it? What do I need to do so I can get out of it? It's not me sitting down and being a slab of emotions just because my girl left me. Just because I'm not where I want to be in life. Okay, what am I going to do about it? Am I gonna sit down and cry and complain? Be a fat slab of emotions and just give in? Hmm? That's what I'm gonna do. Just cry. But but men cry. But just cry, that's it. They just cry all day. And that will solve your problems. Actually, will that solve your problems? You just crying just because you feel like it. You feel a little emotional, so you cry. That's why.
an understanding over something, now you have the ability to conquer it, to master it, to make it bend to your will. When, horsemen and farmers, they learn about animals. They might see it. When a man is ignorant, he might see an animal that's wild out there. He tries to ride it, and the horse will not be broken, right? He could not get on that horse no matter what. But then once he learns the power to bring things to his will, he has rulership and domain over all things. Not that he owns them, but he has rulership over all things because he was made to rule. He was made to learn, to understand, to master, and to rule over. The ultimate man is a ruler over self first, a ruler over his emotions, and a ruler over thoughts. It is not that he lacks emotions, but he rules the emotions. They do not rule him.
Exactly.
And he knows how to dissociate himself. So the masculine man is calm. While there's chaos going on and everybody is frantic, he is the calm one.
Exactly.
He is the one to be dependent and relied upon.
Right.
And he has to see himself as the calm one. So the same way that the farmer, he looks at the animal, he said, it's wild. Everybody else is saying, oh man, we can never ride this. We couldn't figure out. He has the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And with that knowledge, he can apply that to know what to do instead of being in the emotion thinking about, oh, this may go wrong. Oh, why we can't do this. Oh, I wish this would happen. No, he is calm.
Oh, right.
He said, well, if we don't understand the animal, let's learn it.
Absolutely.
Right? A man is one who fails a lot. And through those failures, he knows himself. And through those failures, he gets better and better. And he increases his resilience and he increases his power. If you find a man who have not failed, you have not found a man at all. All great, successful men fail because that is how you learn. You get back up, you experience, then you do more. And that density of that adversity builds the character.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
The masculine is ready for the challenge. Things do not have to be perfect. He is willing to weather the storm. He is willing to try to ride the bull. He was willing to ride the horse. He is willing to try different variations of techniques to figure things out. And as he learned, he goes back, he writes down because the man is very intellectual and he thinks it out and he said, okay, well, that didn't work. But what did work in that? What did we learn? We learned what not to do. Okay, now we know what not to do. Let's try these variations of what we could do. I have 3 different ways I might want to try this. Let's start with 1, 2, and 3. He thinks in mathematical step and order.
Thank you.
So now his mind is able to achieve because through every failure becomes a process to getting better.
Absolutely.
So if you are stuck and you have a feminine way of thinking, and I'm speaking for a man because even women, when they have feminine thinking, they're able to process their emotions at a higher rate. But when a man is stuck in his feminine thinking, he is not built to be going through all those emotions.
Exactly.
So this is why we have such a high depression rate. This is why we have so much things happening when people are unaliving themselves because they're caught into this storm, right, of anxiety, thinking about 87% of things that never actually occur and never actually happen. And when you can take your step out of that storm of emotions and then you can become a fixture, then you are grounded. And then that groundness
Absolutely,
is your strength. It is your power. It is your might. So we learn with knowledge, wisdom, understanding how to rule over ourselves. We learn our emotions. We take spirituality and psychology and we study our minds, we study our spirit, we study our body, we study our soul, we study the world around us. And the intellect of a man will give him his success. But it has to be driven by a pursuit of passion, undying, unyielding, unafraid, courageous in his movement.
Right.
So a young man, he fears the world too much instead of thinking about how he will conquer the world. And one of the most important things for the young man to do is to relax himself, to breathe. Because when the young man is overstuck into this stress, he becomes weak. The tasks become daunting. He does not want to do them anymore. He does not want to get anything done. And so instead he reverts to his boyish ways where he was inside his imagination just thinking about these things. And thinking becomes stressful enough because he thinks about the bad outcome instead of the good.
Good. Absolutely.
So the masculine thinking has to rearrange.
You know, it's funny, you know, because I was just speaking to a young lad about the same thing, right? Because he told me that same exact situation for the 19 kids he's talking about. I had a young brother close to me. You know, he's like a brother to me. You know, and he told me he's going for that same exact thing. And my thing was to him, well, you know, you're getting older, you're not getting younger. So right, so all these bad emotions you having, again, you're gonna get older. So therefore, there's a time you have to attack the things you're running away from. All the things you don't want to do, eventually you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to face that fear of the things you don't want to do. Eventually, it's gonna come back to you right back in your face and say, "What are you gonna do?" Because you cannot run away from it forever. when you go back to your boyish ways, eventually you're gonna have to step up because life will teach you a lesson. Life will show you, well, you can't run from me forever because I will teach you a lesson, right? And when he told me that, it broke my heart because, it's like, we raised together. So, it's tough to see somebody raised together go through such a thing. And then you want to help them, but it's like they in their mind so much, it's so hard to speak to them, right? So people like that, you got to put them to sit down and have you know a long conversation with, and show them bit by bit what they need to do and why they need to do it, and make sure they constantly just on a on a on a good path, right? Staying consistently on a good path and slowly just increasing, as a person, as a man, as a young man growing into a, adult man, right? And it's tough, but again, that's what it's about. You were made for that. You were made to go through these hard times. You were made to deal with this kind of, trauma. You were made for that. So therefore, you have to take it by the horn, and you keep going. Let's continue.
Arrive to where man processes thoughts, overriding the emotions, which is like the surfer being on top of the wave instead of crashing into it, trying to swim against it, getting caught up in the undercurrent, stuck in it, feeling suffocating. Masculine thinking will save the world.
Absolutely.
Because when a man has his woman, she can make sure that he is balanced within that feminine. She shows him what he's not, and he shows her what she's not, which also allows us to know who we are.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, first order of business, find a routine. You wake up, nobody should have to tell you what to do. Somebody has to tell you what to do. That is not masculine thinking, because a man knows how to do things on his own. He is independent. His mind is operating and working. And see, one of the things to break out of that boyish spirit and that feminine thinking, the military does it well. Warrior training does it well because it adds order and discipline. So now the young boy has order and discipline. I wake up, brush my teeth, get a good workout, maybe give me 5 minutes of reading, go outside, you know what I mean? Glaze into the sun. When it is early in the afternoon, go back to my journal, write down a little bit. That is a routine. Now he has order and he's following that in a regimented way. So it bringing logic to his day versus waking up and saying, what do I want to do? That is the indulgence of the chaos. And in that chaos is the emotional storm of, I don't know. So to utilize the reason and the logic and get back to the analytical brain, he has to start to put himself into a routine. And in this routine, he is refining the process, sharpening of himself, developing the skills, the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, and the temperament to be able to deal with the world. And not that he goes out there thinking that the world is so fierce. He is now at this point thinking about how is the world going to deal with me?
Right.
Here's the big secret about women. We want you to flirt with us. We even want you to
Because I'm here and I am a force to be reckoned with. And when a young man thinks of himself as a force, he starts to operate into his God thoughts. It's when he's operating within, because God is force.
Right.
It is will unbroken. It is determination. He learns to develop the psychological wholeness, and through that mental completeness, he now has the ability to do any and all things. He thinks of himself higher and higher and higher as he achieves more and more and more. He learns to balance his light side and his dark side. And he has the combination of never lying to himself so that he can be as truthful and authentic as he moves throughout the world, attracting all things at the rate in which he wants to produce them. Masculine thinking, masculine thinking. You have to be aligned to be masculine. The feminine is different. The 9 is the womb. The womb is the mind. It is the chamber of darkness. That all things are produced in the darkness, and then when they are rooted, they are brought into life. But that feminine also represents the 9 planets circulating the sun. And as those planets moves in different cosmic orders, they create different shifts in the universal atmosphere. And so when the man is aligned, the man does not move, things move around him.
Yep,
The
absolutely.
sun does not move, not in that absence. Everything is chasing it in its orbit. You have to not be the one chasing things. You have to be the center of things, meaning that you have to have the center and the order within self. While the emotions are moving around you, you are centered. While the storm is happening around you,
Right.
you are calm. But the world is still dependent on you. You're not depending of it. There are no planets without the sun. There's no life without the sun. And that sort of confidence as you walk around understanding that you are the sun.
Different feeling.
Well, that'll be just enough confidence to have your masculine thinking in order so that you can be the mind that you need to be, which is the man that you need to be masculine in this world.
Right.
Thank you for following today's brief. Make sure
Glad
you
y'all
follow
heard me.
for more to come,
Mhm.
especially as we go into feminine thinking and dark feminine thinking. Oh, we got a lot to break down. Peace, family. Peace to the gods. If you have any questions, please drop them below. If you would like me to go deeper into something that I said, or maybe do you feel like I didn't cover it enough, or I didn't give enough explicit detail and clarity, if you're worried about something was said the wrong way, please, all you have to do is drop and submit your comments down below, and I will have a data where we take and we do Q&A. Make sure you join 19 Keys High Level Club, where we will be having monthly coaching sessions so that you can reach your superior self. Peace to the gods.
Are we low level or high?
Peace to the gods, man. Shout out to my brother 19 Keys. That was a great, brief. My first video watching. That's my first actual like full length video watching this brother. And I would say I have to say, I agree with a lot of things he said. Matter of fact, everything he said, I would say that's exactly how I view things as well. So I would definitely be reacting to more of his videos. Shout out to that brother 19 Keys, man. You know what I'm saying? But if you like the video, leave a like, comment, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.